Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our monthly Why You Know review segment, where I essentially get into a bunch of records that I didn't cover this past month. And I didn't want to just let them slip through the cracks. I wanted to talk about them at least in brief, so here we go, in this gauntlet of little tiny opinionated biased album reviews by yours truly, you're the best, love you. The new BJ the Chicago Kid record over here. I don't know, I was pretty lukewarm on this thing. I don't really have too much to say about it. I roughly feel the same way about this album as I did BJ the Chicago Kid's last album. I feel like there are a few decent tracks here and there, but he's not a voice, he's not an artist that I feel like carries an entire album well, I guess. And again, that's really all I have to say. As far as R&B artists go, contemporary R&B artists go, he's not bad, but he's just not blown me away or exciting me so much that I stay engaged from beginning to end on a long project. I will continue to enjoy his features and his single tracks that pop up here and there, but, you know, I guess I'll just see if the next album wows me. Next, I gotta give a shout out to this Crooked Eye record, mostly because a lot of you already know that this album was produced by Statik Selecta. He's a cool guy. But on one particular track, the song Lost a Fan, they saw fit to sample yours truly. One moment from my I Hate Hip Hop video. So I'm happy about that. That was cool. Nice little crossover there. So appreciate you. Appreciate you. If you're looking for some gritty slaughterhouse related hip hop, give this thing a listen, and you know, you'll hear me at some point in the record. Next, Magrudergrind's 2 album. These guys are a DC grindcore band, and was pretty excited to try this. You know, I love a hard, heavy, aggressive album when it does end up wowing me. However, in this instance, this just kind of felt like very meat and potatoes grind to me. Nothing really sticking out to me about it. But if you're just looking for another grind record, you're a big grind fan, and you're just a grind completist, and somehow Magrudergrind has slipped by you, give this thing a listen. I just got one thing to say about this record. Yuck. Yuck is a London band, and this is their 3rd full-length album. If you're not familiar with them, they're kind of a bit of a lo-fi indie rock outfit with a big sense of 90s nostalgia coming through in their music. Still, the band and their sound are very far from distinct, and some of the songs are okay, though. I've just never really been a big Yuck guy. However, again, if you are big into that sort of fuzzy, very melodic 90s indie rock sound, then I think this record is going to have a lot to offer you. Boring. 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 Not a Kilo Kish fan. Almost everything I've heard from her thus far has bored me to tears, mostly because I feel like her voice is just so underwhelming. There's just nothing that she offers vocally that interests me. And with this new project over here, that really doesn't change at all. It seems that her singing chops have not improved even a little bit from when I last heard her. Her vocals are still too quiet, still too breathy, not much range. She literally has no presence whatsoever. However, I will say that I appreciate the weird instrumental surprises on this thing. Like, there are a few tracks here that sound like some dusty old jazz or almost like ballroom music, and it's rare that you hear new artists doing anything along those lines. So again, I appreciate that she took some risks, some instrumental risks, but I wish she would take some vocal risks. I feel like when it comes to her singing, she's still playing it super safe and not pushing herself out of her comfort zone. Is this an American Apparel commercial? Thrash metal kings Anthrax are back with a new full-length album. And I don't know, I can't say I'm really all that crazy about it. Much of what's on here sounds either like Anthrax are doing their best to sort of rehash some old Iron Maiden songs or relive an era in Metallica's career where they were not putting out their best stuff, like Load and Reload Metallica. So yeah, you know, Anthrax at this point, they're really not keeping it refreshing. They're really not trying anything that sounds new to my ears, maybe a little new for them, but nothing new in general, and they're failing to keep up the things that have made the band appealing in the first place. New Nyck Kxng mixtape over here. Nyck Kxng, New York rapper, Pro Era member, and this new mixtape, it's not all that bad. You know, it's not blowing me away or anything like that, but I think I like it a little more than the Kxng commercial project that dropped not too long ago. However, much like Kxng and a lot of Pro Era, and Joey Badass from when he was, you know, sort of putting out his 1999 mixtape, Nyck, I think vocally and lyrically has a little bit before he comes into his own. Lyrically, there's not a whole lot here that makes me think, okay, this is a Nyck Kxng song. This is a Nyck Kxng verse, you know? However, on this thing, like many other Pro Era members, Nyck delivers some really solid flows, and his lyricism isn't that bad, and I think he actually hops on some pretty eccentric production here and there on this thing too. So again, this was a decent project if you're looking for some East Coast hip-hop, you're a big Pro Era fan, you know, you like Capital Steez, you like Joey Badass, you like Kxng, you like all those dudes, make sure you give this thing a listen, don't let it slip by you. It just didn't stop me in my tracks for a full-length review, that's all. School of Seven Bells, this is their final project over here. To be honest, I've never been a School of Seven Bells fan. However, I was moved once I heard that this was going to be the group's final record because the band's founding member, Benjamin Curtis, had sort of succumbed to the battle that he had been fighting with cancer. So I have to recommend this if you're into music that is very gauzy, very shoegazy, dreamy. I wouldn't say it's, you know, it's not like super bland, washed out dream pop or anything like that. It's very lush, it's very colorful, it's very thick, it's very dense. Basically some very textured and blissful electro-infused indie pop. If those genres, if those sounds are appealing to you, do not let this record slip by you, especially since this is going to be the last record in their discography. Rest in peace to Benjamin Curtis. Another teen record that unfortunately I liked the singles, but I just wasn't that into the album itself. I think it came down to a lot of the vocals and a lot of the songwriting, much of which on this thing I thought was lackluster. However, I appreciate some of the dance grooves the band pulls through with, and some of the quirky throwback synthesizers and synthesizer arpeggios throughout the album that I think are really cool. I think teen has a good aesthetic. It's just that the songwriting and the vocal performances just aren't that on point. Suede, or the London Suede, back at it again with a new record. An album where I think some of the performances and some of the tunes are all right, but the production on this thing is just so flat and lifeless. I mean, it all has this same ultra high gloss finish to it that makes nearly every song here blend together. And I think it just kind of sucks the organic feel out of the performances on this thing too. Again, some decent tunes, but the way the music was produced on this thing just sucks the life out of it. It just gets so stale so fast. And we're going to finish it off here with a mention of the new Jeffrey Lewis and Los Bolts album, which dropped last year. Slipped by me. I do enjoy quite a bit of Jeffrey Lewis's music, but this record just seemed to have a pretty low-key release, and I did not see it or hear of it. So Jeffrey Lewis is one of New York's greatest folk punkers, poets. If you like rock music and you like folk music that's very thoughtful, that's very wordy, he is most definitely worth checking out. On this new record over here, there are some hard and heavy tracks that are just blisteringly fast, and Jeffrey Lewis is just working at a million words a minute, and he's just hitting you with so much. I like those a lot. The somber and sort of low-key cuts are a little patience testing, but in a way they do kind of remind me of stuff that Adam Green has done in the past, so if you are an Adam Green fan, you might be into this. Again, folk punkers, art rockers, wordy rock poet fans, do apply to listening to this thing. And before I head out, I want to mention this new Violent Femmes comeback record alert. Been giving this thing a listen. It's not too bad. For a comeback record, considering it's been 15 years since the band's last album, it's surprisingly raw. It's very raw. It's got that old folk punk sound that I think their earliest records used to have, which made me gravitate toward the Violent Femmes in the first place. However, some of the songs on here I wouldn't say are particularly good. They're kind of goofy. I think without sort of that theme of heartbreak or angst, which usually colors early Violent Femmes records, maybe the band is sort of at a loss for, something really juicy and exciting to write about. However, you know, if you don't mind them sort of taking things down a sillier and sort of more playful and absurd road, then I think this record might appeal a lot to you. So if you're looking for some folk punk with a bit of a tongue-in-cheek demeanor, then try this thing out. Never, 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 never! And don't forget to ask for your free NPR tote bag when you order the new Esperanza Spalding album as well. You guys are the best. And that's it. That's the Why You Know review. Those are all the records I wanted to touch down on in this video. And thank you for watching. Transition! Have you given these albums a listen? Did you love them? Did you hate them? What would you rate them? You the best, you the best. What should I review next? Thanks for watching the video. Hope you're doing well. Stay hydrated. Eat some fruits and veggies. It's getting warm out. Get some sun. Get some sun out there, everybody. Forever.